Paul Frederickson. I am from here. I live about 12 miles away.
Wow.
And studied online with Bronwyn Kirkpatrick.
Oh yeah, amazing. Must be an amazing experience for you to come here.
I was driving down the road, like a couple months ago, and listening to the radio, and I heard this ad about a Shakuhachi festival in College Station. I just drove off the road. What?
How could that be, right?
Yeah.
Like you're the only Shakuhachi player in town.
I don't think so, but I think Marty Regan.
Oh, Marty. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a reason for you. Yeah.
There might be. Then I think that's probably it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm Steve Search from Vermont, and I studied with David Sawyer.
I'm Jefferson Savengsuk from Rochester, New York. I also studied with Ronnie Selden and now periodically with Furuhashi Sensei.
We know each other online, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
yes.
we've connected.
Yes,
yeah,
we have.
I know the names of
I know
obviously.
you. I'm
But,
happy that you
Everybody
know
knows
me.
that.
Thank you.
Good.
I'm Tom from San Francisco Bay Area, and I think I know your brother,
Oh, probably.
who studied with Koga,
Yes, yes.
and I studied with him with Koga for a while.
Right, Peter.
Peter,
Yes, yes.
fireman.
Fireman.
How is he?
He's good.
Good.
It'd be funny. I'll tell him. He was gonna drive here. So I have a brother who's a Shakuhachi player, also who studied with Masayuki Koga, and he was gonna drive here. Yeah, that's great, Tom.
Yeah.
I'll mention that. Okay, we're just going around. I know this person wrote a paper on AFSR,
I did.
Shakuhachi. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and as much as you want.
Yeah,
Or live-
my name's Lydia Snyder. I live in Ohio. I teach at Kent State University. What else do you want to know?
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. So basically, Elaine showed us a crack on her flute, which is very common. All right. So this is one of the most common cracks, and you could guess why.
Usually right above the joint.
It is right above the joint, right? It's the only part that has pressure. Can you see the crack? Friction and pressure on a flute. This is the only moving connection. So it's very, very common. One of the most common. It's also slightly more difficult to bind this, and you see why when you see it, because you can only grab that much.
Oh yeah.
And then while you're binding, you don't have the same like that, right? But I can work it through with you.
Okay.
So there's, every crack is specific in how you approach it. So there are many ways to bind. I'm going to show you the one that I use that I feel over 3 decades of doing this is the strongest. And feel free to explore on your own after this and let me know if you find a better method. So, when I studied, did you all get a chance to meet or hear Kinya Sogawa, who's here? He was my teacher in Japan. Fabulous maker and player. And he gets to, he binds in a very specific Japanese way. He sat with one of the famous makers, Chikuzen Tamai, and they all sit in a circle in the workshop, and they're all making flutes in this really tight workshop. I think there's a picture on my website somewhere. But he's binding like this, with his foot on the thing, to control it. And then it's just like amazing, and they're all sitting on the floor. So, but for now, I found that, it's better, I have a much stronger control, better control of the cord when it's clamped down and I'm pulling away from it. So I made a video on YouTube that you guys can all access on that if you want to watch it. Basically, it's everything I'm doing here. Except the cord is different. The cord that I used in the video is no longer being made. But I found this cord, which is really good.
Is that Ceylon Tex
It's
400?
Ceylon Tex 400. And if you all need information, I put them on the doc, right? If you want to go buy that on your own. So
And Perry said you also included like fishing line, which I thought was interesting.
You
Is that
can.
comparable?
yeah, it's easier to find.
I see.
If you have a fishing line that's 25 pounds or above, that's a really strong cord to pull and hold the bamboo. Like if it's thinner than 20 pounds, it'll break and snap on you as you're trying to apply the pressure. And thus your bamboo crack might open up eventually because you can't apply enough pressure. So we could talk about that in a little bit. But just to get started, I'm gonna demonstrate and I'm gonna talk through it quickly, and it will take probably much longer as I demonstrate this first one, because when I'm not talking, you see how quick it goes actually to do unbinding, right? So,
Are you gonna talk about inlaid bindings at all?
yeah, there was somebody who was gonna come and bring his inlaid binding that kind of opened up over time. And then I talk about the problems of old techniques, and maybe there's a repairman that didn't do as great of a job with the materials that they had gave way over time and all this stuff, so we kind of have to repair old repairs often. I can talk about inlays too, but I want to get everyone going on making the simple binding first, because this is like learning how to do a proper good binding for your flute is like knowing how to fix your flat, change your flat on a car. You just kind of, it's not that hard, you just kind of have to do it once or twice. And when you're in a bind, you really need to know how to fix your, exchange your tire, right? Change
Excuse
your
the
tire.
pun.
What's that?
Excuse the pun.
Yes. So, let's start with one. The first thing is, well, first of all, we all know what a crack looks like. They come in many degrees, right? So if you have a wide crack, you have to humidify it. I think I talked to, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Lydia, you did not.
I did.
You did?
I did. It's probably closed about halfway.
Oh, okay, so.
And this one closed almost fully.
Overnight with the cloth, right?
Yeah.
So Lydia told me that she didn't think that the cracks were gonna close. So basically you need to wrap this one with a wet cloth.
I had it. It was
Again.
just a really large crack.
It'll close. It will close.
Eventually.
Yeah. So you wanna pass that around, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
So basically she thought it was not repairable, right? With the big crack. But when I said wrap it with a damp cloth overnight, it'll close like that one. Right? So if you have a huge crack, you can wrap it in a damp cloth. Great, that's great, because Charlie goes, where's the crack? Right? You can't even see the crack now.
Would you put that in plastic with a damp cloth?
In a humid box, in a humid
humid box.
container. It could be some sterilite container, a plastic bag if you don't have a container, garbage bag, or your kitchen trash bag, as long, that will close the crack overnight. So that's a good way to start. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Cracks come in many forms, as small as that one and as huge as these.
It was twice that size.
Yeah.
It was really large. It really opened.
Yeah. So tonight, wrap a damp towel around it, even more damp, like
Okay.
maybe even wet, and then bring it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you make
And we'll
this
see.
one?
I made that one in Portugal at
Okay.
one of the
Wow.
workshops, and it cracked pretty quickly after I got home.
Right.
So
So that one's just a little more stubborn than, say, this one, which was also huge.
it was, yeah.
Right, so this crack was also huge. She said, didn't think it was repairable, but if you keep it another day, it'll close completely. Right.
Same approach, if it goes all the way through like
Yeah.
Urushi, everything, you just put the.
First thing you do is you humidify it until the crack closes, and then we start to bind.
Okay, so,
Right.
so that's not the final, this is getting it ready to bind.
Correct, because you can't bind in that condition when it's already split wide open. You have to wait till it closes, right? Unless it's like that, where it's just starting, and then you can, if you see it just starting, you should definitely put a binding on it, because it's a matter of time. Yeah.
So does the humidity make it closer to its natural state before it's dried? Is that why it closes?
Bamboo cracks because it's drying out, right? For
Okay.
one thing, so when you add humidity, it likes to kind of like just
Goes back to
swell
where it
and close
was.
to where it was, right? I would say bamboo likes 50% or more humidity. So if you're below, it's always a little tricky. And if you're in a desert, you should definitely keep your flutes airtight, plastic, rubber band. Hi. Do you want to try to fit in a little bit? What's your name?
I've never fit in before.
Please don't feel like you have to now. You don't feel like you have to fit in. Really. Okay. Okay. What's your name again?
Tony.
Tony. Right. Thanks for joining us, Tony. So I was just talking about closing the crack first and basically humidifying it, and then when you humidify it by wrapping a towel around it and putting it into an airtight container like a box, a plastic box, over a night or 2 nights it'll close completely. And then once it's closed, what I do is I clamp a C-clamp to something and move. This is heavy enough. If I pull hard, it's gonna move, but there's enough weight, I think. And what I'm gonna, there's enough weight on this to where, maybe not actually. Maybe I'm gonna put that on top to give it some weight.
Put those guitar amps on top.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's put a guitar in. Sometimes if I don't have a table, I tie a knot to a doorknob or something else that's not movable, a pole. If I'm outside, actually, a pole. I've done that before. Let's see, maybe one more.
Or in front of the leg there.
This one? Oh, yeah, you know what? Let's see. That's a good idea. I might not be, it's just a safety. All right. Okay, let's see. Did everything I say, is that clear so far? Any questions? How to close the crack before you bind? All good? Okay, great. So whether it's fishing line or this C-line cord, 400, I basically pull an arm's length. So if you're really tall and super wide, it's okay. You just make a wider binding. Oh, wait, here's our tools. Sorry. Scissors. I didn't finish setting up. Sorry.
Are there rattan bindings that you can use?
What's
In terms
that?
of color, a rattan color?
You know, if you go to Marion's, she has a whole spectrum of colors. I just like black because it's a traditional thing that, you know, it's not about taste, it's just black. But I've tried other colors. Yeah, there you go. It's like a golden color. And other tan colors and reds and greens, so you could choose whatever you want.
I think he was speaking of the material rattan, not the color of the binding.
What was
The material rattan.
Yeah. What was the question?
He said could you use rattan binding, right?
As
The color, I was more interested in
Oh, the color.
matching the
Oh.
flute. And
Never
yeah,
mind.
so yeah, there's another level of painting it with the rushi where you mix, or you could choose a cord that matches the bamboo. So it's really up to you to find those materials to match the bamboo that you have. So, oops. I have this and a pair of scissors here.
I will say, if you're looking at fishing line, color choice is very limited.
There's like red and green.
You know, it's not
And
even,
transparent.
nothing that a fish
Clear.
can see.
in white.
Yes,
If you get
yes.
saltwater, there's some. I got fluorescent yellows, there's greens, there's reds, there's ice fishing
Okay.
line too, but those are typically
And
thinner.
I've seen all those used in Japan
Yeah.
by other makers.
I like the
Repairmen.
green. Trilene
Right.
big game is for like catfishing, and it's really thick. They make up to 100-pound test, and it's a nice kind of just a translucent, just a subtle green color. It's actually really nice compliment. to the
Right,
bamboo.
right. So there's all kinds of choices. This is just my approach right now. So what you'll need: cord, scissors, pliers, and something that you can tie the cord to. So this is my configuration right now. A clamp, a C-clamp. Again, you could tie it to a pole that's not moving. Yeah. Pull an arm's length. And I'm gonna do this all again without talking. You guys can see how quick it goes. I do, you know what? This is a tricky little knot that you might have to see me do. Let's see, I wonder if, yeah, you can't all get around me when I tie this knot. Basically, I'm tying the cross knot, and then I pull a loop under the cross knot. And I can show you each individually how
You
that's
could
done.
tie it on in the middle of the room and then clamp it to the table afterwards.
Maybe, yeah, I'll do that on the next one. I'll do that. So
Okay.
basically, it's an easy knot, and the reason why I choose it is because if I get to the very end and I need a little bit more, if I grab my plier and I pull that little loose end, it comes right off easily, even though I'm pulling so much pressure on this side, as opposed to a knot that's stuck. So this is about a meter and a half, and I'm gonna just something very common that never is gonna go anywhere are these little cracks. Yeah,
On the nodes.
yeah. These are very common, but they'll never become something that we'll be worried about. These little cracks, these here, very common. They worry some people ask about it and they're really bothered by it. You see that any little cracks along here? Oh, okay. Yeah, they're just starting with something that bothers some people. right? Can you see the cracks? Can you see it?
Right in there.
Right on the node. And cracks often actually start on the node. You have one too? Down here? Yeah. Oh, see, yeah. Let's put a binding there. But you know, down at it's rare that those will crack open because the bamboo is so dense down here, unless it's really dry. So, you know what? You might all need to come and just stand and watch me here for a minute. And, I don't know if we can get close. Yeah, I know, right? Or maybe we gotta do it twice and two people at. Does that make sense? If I do it twice and then maybe half the room can see what I'm doing? Does that help?
Yeah.
Why don't we take this half first, and then the other half I'll do it again, yeah.
Sure.
So just come around me and yeah, is that enough? Yeah, okay. Is there an even number of people you all are able to squeeze in right? Okay. Basically, I know I'm gonna bind right there, right? To come up right to that, the crack, because I can't bind right on the crack because it's a hump, right? So I'm gonna bind right up to the crack. And that means binding uphill, binding towards the raised area, not binding from the raised area down from a node because it'll pull away from the node. As I bind up, it gathers quite nicely. So I pull about 2 inches here. You know, actually, feel free to record this if you guys. Go ahead, record it because you won't remember this. So this is about 2 inches here. I put my thumb. It's not a lot of pressure. It's just holding it in place. I pull about an inch loop, right? You see that? I pulled this inch loop and I put my thumb here to hold that. Yeah? So far so good? And then I just kind of gently bring this around. Not even a lot of pressure. The thumb is just holding the cord in place. And I kind of visually see that the cord is straight. I mean, it could be skewed, for example. Well, actually, if you're putting a little pressure, it's gonna want to straighten on its own. But when I do this, it's just kind of straight already. So I'm not doing a lot of pressure, it's just holding it in place. Here's a second time around. Now I'm putting a little more pressure on it, just a little bit more. So the pressure's on my thumbnail, holding that section right there in place. Not a lot of pressure. Now on the third round, I'm gonna rotate my thumbs and pull just a little bit harder. And now I just did my third one, right? And if it's crooked, I just use my finger now. Oh, this needs to come in here, right? To straighten it out visually. Now, when it's on the third, you hear that? I can pull. And what happens is it tightens these right here, the first three. Not super heavy, but enough to where I'm pulling to where the string stops and doesn't want to give anymore. And then that's when I start to wind right on that pressure. Now, as I'm winding, I'm sort of like using my weight to continue pulling, yeah, to where the string doesn't want to give anymore. Otherwise, I'll snap the string. So I'm pulling, I'm kind of rocking to get as much pressure as I want. And visually, I'm kind of twisting the bamboo so that it gathers against the thread as opposed to winding away from the thread. So for example, I'm doing it like a little skew like that to keep the thread next to the other thread. And ooh, look at that.
Okay.
So now I'm pulling. When I get to the weight at the back, that's when I'm twisting. I'm leaning and twisting, leaning and twisting. You know, it's kind of like you could do it all in your hands, but then you're putting a lot of pressure in your hands. Now the last 3 or 4, I've loosened it a little bit. Okay, so this is important if you guys can come in. I get to the end, right? Put my thumb here. This is when you have to kind of switch hands, and I clip. So put my thumb here to stop the thread from unwinding. Clip like 4 inches. Slip that through the noose. Put that middle finger there, and switch it like that as quick as possible. Because it's at this point where you're not gripping anymore and your hands are comfortable. And then, with a tug, it should stop or break in the middle, which would be perfect. So, I'm gonna leave this one for now and demonstrate for the next group, right? And I'll come back and finish it. Any questions from you guys from what you saw? Yes. I'm gonna take it to the next step after I demonstrate. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay, and feel free to ask questions when we get to that point where you're doing it yourself.
Now, when you did that, did you end up getting that kind of
Yes.
shape there? I didn't see that.
Do you see it?
I don't.
Oh, yeah, I don't have my glasses on,
Okay.
but, yeah?
No, no, no.
See, maybe it's that way. You see, it's like an X.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you see the X?
No.
You don't? Does it mean it's stuck? Do you guys see an X for the chords?
Yeah.
Everyone's got a little different style. That's
Okay, yeah,
the
this
way that
might
I
just
do
be
'em.
more exaggerated.
Some people pull vertically along with the flute. Some people pull at like a 45.
Right,
and if
right.
you pull at a 45, you get more of that X.
More of an X.
If you
Okay.
pull straight, they both just go up and down, so you don't get that exaggerated X.
Right, thank you, Adam. Adam's gonna show me a little trick later that I brought a tool for that moment I was talking about where you have to grip. Okay, so I'll show the next group, right? And just see, I'm pulling out my arm's length. If you want to see how I do the tie,
Different
actually.
style. Once you start doing it, becomes what works.
Come on around, I'm gonna show you what I mean by the tie. You ready? You know what, you guys can take a video if you want, I don't mind. So basically I make this cross, which is kind of a standard, knot, and then I pull, and then I wrap over, pull at this little loop. So that this is like a release end right here. And believe it or not, it just comes right out if I needed to, and it doesn't give, when I'm pulling. So, let's see, what I'm gonna do another, I'm gonna do the hard one for Elaine, which is right here, right? Because you can't grip. So, basically I'm gonna make a, with my thumb, make a inch about loop. Put my thumb, basically there's only pressure right on the tip. There's no gripping whatsoever, it's very light. There's about 1.5 inch tail there. And this one's easy because this ring helps me keep it straight, right, the angle. That's the one wind. This is, again, no pressure. Just let it slip under my thumbnail. Hold it in place. Pull a little bit gently just to take up the slack, right? Just taking up the slack. Now I'm gonna wind just with a little more pressure. And earlier I said to twist the cord a little bit so it goes against the thread as opposed to away, you see that? So when you're winding, there's a little bit of angling of the flute. And again, just a little bit more pressure. Now in the third winding, I could actually snap. If I pull super hard, I'm gonna snap. But this is enough cord where I know when I'm at the point of the cord not giving, that's as strong as I need to keep the binding, the crack closed. So here, I'm gonna talk about I'm gonna pull with my body so that my arms don't have grip, don't have to grip and have the pressure. So when I rock back, you see that I'm pulling it really tight, but when I release, I'm gonna twist. So release and twist, rock back, release. This is only my technique to save my hands, because if I don't do this, my hands get really tired. I'm pulling with my weight and my wrist is just winding as it's coming out of it. And now the last 2 or 3 is a little lighter because I want to pull the knot under. Okay, so this is a moment that's really important. Put my thumb here, hold the thread, flip about 4 or 5 inches, needle it through. This is really important. This finger goes here, and you have to grab the flute and put your palm here. And so there's no pressure in holding it. Adam will show me a little trick that he's got, but let's see this. So I broke the thread, which is great, which means that there's a lot of pressure under here. Now, who was the person that asked about the X? There's a little X in here. Yeah? Any questions so far? No questions?
So
You're all
how-
gonna do this on your own.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
How far do you do the roll the binding?
You mean like the thickness of it or the
Length this way.
width of it?
The width.
Yeah. It's it's up to you. Like I do a thick one up here sometimes because it really needs to hold. Sometimes up here it's 1 inch, and really right down here I don't have much room to go more than there because it's a finger hole. But aesthetically, if I do about a quarter of an inch, a little more, it kind of looks nice and strong enough to hold every inch of the crack. Has to be every inch, otherwise, in between the bindings, you'll get a crack opening up. Okay, so we're good so far?
And a question about, I tried this recently and I got a couple that, to work and then many more that didn't work very well. But it sounds like, it's very important to, you've got it tight on at the start, but you're loosening it just a little bit so that you can pull it under.
Right.
Or so it's got enough slack for room to pull it under, and that might have been what was going wrong with me.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't loosen it up, it won't go under, and the thread will break without the getting pulled under.
And you made sure to, even though you didn't have, at the start, you couldn't apply a whole bunch of pressure at the beginning of that wrap. You made sure to
Apply a little bit more, yeah.
And so that was very stable.
It's okay on the other end because you're just pulling past, but when you're pulling a knot into it's a different thing, right? You're going under it as opposed to pulling out.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Look, you can go back to your seats. I want the next stop, the next step. Oh, actually, should I do one more to show your technique?
I mean, it's your call.
You know what? Let's do one more because I want to show you how quick it goes. Actually. Okay, so if I wasn't talking, but actually, I need to get to the end to show.
You haven't seen these yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Adam wanted to share this.
I would say if you do enough of these, and you should. It's a very good thing to be able to do, especially for your own flutes or friends' flutes or people passing through town. But if you ever repair like a 2.8 that needs like 25 bindings, what you're gonna find is the hardest part of this I found is that thumb at the end.
The switch at the end where
Switching
the pressure is.
and holding that pressure.
Right.
It's good for 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get to 10, you start to fatigue. And so I found these, and what these are is aircraft mechanic soft jawed pliers, which sounds like they'd be expensive, airplane mechanic, but they're like $20. And you can get them on Amazon. They're soft jawed, so they don't cut the bind and they don't damage the bamboo. And these you can do anything from a skinny 1.6 all the way up to a huge kind of Taimu 3.0.
So if we got to that point where I was doing this, what would you do in terms of using?
If we got to that point where I was pulling this, and I'm ready for now, I would I'm still pulling tension, and I would just I keep these in my pocket, and I would reach in here, and I would just do half and half. So where the line is, where you had the loop, don't cover the loop. Just put these draws kind of half, just so you lock it in.
Where the loose thread that you were winding.
Yeah, so here's the loop in there, so don't cover the loop. And then you could it doesn't take a lot of pressure, it just takes a little bit. And this is where I can cut here. Okay. And then I feed it through and kind of tear it off there. So it's really nice to just free up your thumbs. Okay. And it requires just very, very little pressure. So but either way is fine. I just noticed over time that it's a very nice tool to have, especially if you're doing lots of bindings, because your thumb will get
I'm gonna explore that when I get home.
Yeah, for sure.
But so for now I won't use that, but thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I'm gonna do one so you can just see kind of how the process of me without talking. And here we go. Is that moment where you have to kind of release this grip as soon as possible to get there. Right, so when you do when you first start, this is gonna come all the way out. It means the binding's too loose. Right, when the binding gets stuck in the middle, then you're great. Okay, so any questions so far?
By the middle, you mean the bottom of the loop gets stuck halfway?
Yeah, right there, where the X, they meet. Ideally, because that's where I've been applying most of the pressure, right in the middle of the binding, it's gonna get stuck right there. Any questions so far? We're all gonna do this on your own.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here at the beginning. What is the material you're using?
Oh, this is called Ceylon Tex 400.
Okay.
It's a cord, it's a brand, and on the Google Doc that's in the folder of the festival,
Okay.
I have a link to where to buy it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so far so good. Okay, so what I would do next is actually finish setting up. How do I cut those tail ends out cleanly, right? There's my X-Acto knife.
I have one here if you want to borrow, Perry.
You do? Wait, I know it's here somewhere, I just... Maybe I'll use Charles for now, and then I'll dig mine out when we all start. You have X-Acto? Great, great, thank you. Actually, this might be a moment where you all come up close too, because you kind of have to see it. This is a Shakuhachi Hako box in Japanese, which means basically every maker has their own style of Hako, of box. Some are bigger, and I have different styles here.
What material is in the, right there?
The groove.
Oh, this is leather. I mean, you don't
okay.
even have to have it. Wood is fine, because wood
Right.
is not gonna scratch the bamboo. I just have that, yeah. Okay, so basically, I just pulled gently with my thumbnail, pull the cord straight, and I brush, can you all see? I brush back against that, and just, when the blade is sharp, it comes right off. I'm gonna do it with this side. This one you have to be a little careful, because when it's in close to that thread, you might cut that, and I've done that before, so I might do it from the top here, away from that little raised section. So, you can pass that around if you want. Basically, have a sharp X-Acto knife, and it's so easy. I think every chef will tell you that, right? If your knives are sharp, your job is easy. If you're dull, you're in trouble. So, same thing with this. I'm just gonna brush up against it and touch it, and it comes right off, Brush it right here. Pass it around that.
The pros make it look so easy, don't they?
It's funny you say that. I just came from a lecture, not a lecture, talk that I did at the Asian Cultural Council that gave me a grant to go to Japan to study. And by then I had already been making and repairing for 20 years. I just wanted to deepen my knowledge of old instruments and music. And that trip just reminded me of the saying, how in the West we say you spend 10,000 hours, you're a master. I spent way more than 10,000 hours already. But in Japan, when you get your black belt, that's only when you start your study, right? So I just realized how much I didn't know going back. Oh my God, I still don't know much. But, yeah. So there's one last, I wonder if I should show you the last step, one of the last steps before you go off on your own. That might be the best thing to do, right now. What time is it?
51.
Yeah, so you would only have about 45 minutes to work and try it and me tutor you through it. Let me show you this last step. Ooh, be careful with that. Yeah. Thank you, Charles. You can put, when you're done with the flute, actually need one more cut from Charles on there. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, Charles, thank you. This is a tricky one because you don't want to, the thread goes into the ring, and you just kind of have to, again, a sharp thread is there you go. great. So binding's done.
The reason you slide it is to get it right on the next turn.
What's the question?
You're sliding the blade to get it close to the.
Yes, because if you're just kind of putting it down, you might cut the cord. I slide it in to get it right. Everyone will have their own touch and figure out how to do it. But I've cut the cord plenty of times to go, oh, I better slide it in. So another reason why the box is important is because you could do a lot of things with the flute. Super glue is a good friend of the Shakuhachi maker. Let's see. Let me get another glue. Basically, if you get it sort of, like this, and then it'll protect your flute. If your flute is showing signs of a crack, this will protect it from cracking fully open. When you have a cracked flute already, like, is it Laura's or Lydia, then you're gonna have to bind more and much stronger to hold the cracks in place. So you wanna avoid that. I have these, which I cut, just from my scrap paper. And I'm gonna do 3 rings right along the top. You can come in close if you need to. Basically, just a kind of a healthy bead around. We normally have a little glue holder. And then just from edge to edge. And then I can do that. Now, once you pass that one that way, and then I'll do this one. This can get messy, but basically, if you have a steady hand and your glue tip is in the right place, and you get a nice healthy bead, but not too much, not too little, which is all about practice. And your fingers can get messy and full of glue, so it's just a matter about being. Even I got a little bit messy right here, but you might not be able to see it. Don't touch the binding. You can look at it, and in a minute, it'll be perfectly dry. And then, so one last step I do before you start off on your own is that I can paint urushi on any coat. You can pass that way. So that's basically that with urushi colored over.
I see.
Yeah. And
so you did the super glue first and then urushi on top?
Yes, and some people don't. Some people just do the urushi without the glue. I just think that the glue is another added step, and I've seen a lot of repairs that I had to repair over. Just the more stable it is, the better, stabilized. Let's see, this might be dry already.
I saw some bindings where the, in the vendors, where they had used fishing line and then put epoxy over it.
Yes,
And
that's.
then they did designs in the epoxy.
They
Kind
went
of
on top?
fancify it, yeah.
Design?
Yeah, they put essentially like a
Wow.
carving inside the
Wow.
epoxy, or like a stamp.
Yeah,
Kind of
you can touch
fancied
that
it up a
binding
bit.
now. So the top one, you can touch it and see how just, I've seen that, I've seen people do epoxy to smoothen, just to smoothen it
Right,
out.
so it seems more like just a band. And
Right, and then they also paint urushi on top of it, and it's nice and smooth and glossy and or matte. So I think that's the beauty, the craft, and exploring the aesthetics, the beauty of it.
Right.
So this is just the kind of like utilitarian binding right now.
Right.
We just want to get you to be able to change your tire, right? And drive to the gas station basically. But once you know how to do all that, like you could take it to another level. You could do aesthetically, you could do art, like you were saying,
Right.
Is the technique basically the same if you're gonna carve a groove and do it flush with rattan?
The technique of binding is the
Right.
same, but
Mhm.
carving it is a whole other thing,
Of course.
which I can't get into in these spaces.
Of course,
I think the way that I studied it with Kinga is just a one-to-one person. And then also visited Tom Deaver. I don't know if you ever heard Tom Deaver's name.
Yeah.
And Tom showed me, and everyone does it differently. Tom showed me how he does inlays, and it was different from Kenya.
Okay.
And it's just me sitting in front of Tom and Tom doing this, and you know what I mean? It's difficult to show that in a bigger situation because in Japan, the teaching is you are grabbing your master's teachings. You are not asking questions, he's not talking, you're just watching and grabbing what he's showing you, right? So I'm talking a lot, and I feel like I'm talking too much, but you should all be grabbing the information, right? That's what Japanese teaching is. Anyway, I'm gonna set up a couple of ways. Maybe we can find a place for other people to think that, oh, you can, maybe if you're in the hallway, something you could tie a string to and figure out how you could sort of do bindings, because I know I have a lot of string, but not a lot of fixed things that you can clamp to. I have 2 bindings, 2 scissors, 2 clamps. People could take turns here, maybe, and have different stages, so they can use different. I'll put the box somewhere that's accessible for everyone in a bit. So how should we do this? Who all wants to do the bindings first? Everyone?
I'd like to do one.
Yeah. I think Helene. I mean,
I'm not.
I don't need to.
Okay. Yes, because Steve, you've done some before, right? Yeah. Let's see. Is there a place in here that's maybe this chair, like for example, this leg, could be something someone ties to.
Piano leg.
This leg?
Yeah, you just tie
this
around the legs,
So
yeah.
there could be 3 people kind of working right here, as long as you don't bump into each other.
Sure.
Why don't we start with that, and then get to doing 1 or 2 bindings each, and then move on to the gluing, and then the other people can sort of come up and.
What was the knot you were doing here?
Oh yes,
We never saw
let me
that.
show you that. Did anyone not see the knot and want to see it again? Yeah. Let me just show you on this clamp then. So I'm gonna pull it arm's length. Okay, can you come in and see me do this knot? Sorry, this way. Probably doesn't matter whether you're lefty or righty, but as long as you do a little crossover, and then I cross this back over, grab a loop, like that. Right, so there's a little tear in here, and there's a loop on this side. Now it can work with just a regular 2x
Square knot?
square knot. Is that what you
Or
call it?
granny
Square?
knot.
Yeah, granny with 2 times. That's
Yeah.
It'll work with that. I like the tail, like I said earlier, because if I get stuck and I need just another inch, I can pull that out and I have that inch. But okay, so here's what I'm gonna tie. Who wants to tie their knot there? Anybody? We could do three at once.
I think she just volunteered.
Did you see how I did the knot?
I saw it, I don't know if
Let's try it again.
managed
Let me know if you have a question. Anybody here for this one?
I'll tie this one.
Okay.
Here?
Yes. And then there's scissors here. Sorry, I didn't do a good setup. Let's see. And before I started talking. Okay, there's 3 pairs of scissors here. So great, all 3 of you can have your own pair of scissors. There's 1, 2, and 3 pliers. So, let's see. Tell you what, you can get started, and if you have any questions, or I can help you get started. And you know what? If there's another place, we can tie cords anywhere else. Is there any other places around here?
That's probably
There
great. I'm not
might
sure
be
where I
something attached on the piano here.
Oh, you know what the problem is? I don't, unless, well, Charles has an X-Acto knife, which is perfect for the scissors, so you can cut the cord with the X-Acto, but it's a plier that I would use, so I only have 3 pliers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you have pliers? Okay, so we can set up another one for,
Shall I do this one?
yes, please, you can start. Do you,
And where should I,
oh, yes, so I do it in the back. I'll just show you what I would do.
did I
Let's
just
see.
do it for a corner?
It looks pretty good. Okay, so what I would do is I put it on the back. So I put the loop there on the back. And then I put my thumb there. And then basically you just have to follow.
The knot.
Yeah, you just have to follow that way. Oh, you should start again from scratch. Let's see, we do have room for one. Oh, is there room? Can we fit 3 or no, it's tight?
You want me to lend a hand and help help.
And then what you're gonna
Adam,
do-
if you don't mind,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you so much, Adam, thank you so
Hold that
much.
with your finger.
Adam's gonna help a little bit, so feel free, right, if Adam gives some tips, Adam's done this, so he can help. Maybe we could find another place
I wanna
to
be
tie,
moving
so we
towards
could,
the,
you know, have some room.
Towards the knot, right?
Actually, you know what?
Yeah, well, it depends
I'm
on
sorry,
if
what's
you're
your
right
name?
in.
Richard?
Richard, yeah, how about swinging this way, then somebody can be in the
I was
middle
just- I
here.
was just that.
Thank you, and Elaine, maybe you swing over that way a little bit. And then, there's a room for somebody here, is it Barry?
So I don't have the roots.
So what's gonna be important on these first ones is that
Who
you
wants to
keep
try, Barry?
a finger,
So
thumb
just
on
remember
the
that the
string
scissor and the
or
pliers
you
are
start
here when you're
sliding
waiting
off
for it.
as you start to pull.
What should I use for a flute?
Oh, you don't have your own flute, do you have a flute? Just add a binder to your flute.
Get it
And you
around
don't need to
there.
glue it if you don't wanna glue it.
No, I don't wanna touch it.
Oh, that's fine,
Always,
okay.
always
Do you-
for these first three, always have a finger
Okay, yeah,
when
who-
you're
who
twisting.
wants to bind their
Finger,
flute?
step over, keep a thumb.
Okay,
You can start pulling it a little bit towards you, and then you just kind of alternate your thumbs. Always have kind
That
of your
looks like a
thumb
scratch
on
more than
there,
a-
so it's, yeah,
right?
there you go.
Are you
Drop
up for
that
Barry?
thumb
Are you up for
down,
it?
No,
this
told me to
yeah.
find this.
Oh, you want Barry to bind your flute?
and you're just kind of walking it, you
Okay,
know, just
so
so
I
you
would add
always
it
have
down
pressure.
here.
So you're
I would
twisting it towards you.
remember what I said
And
about
then
binding
always,
up
always have
towards
the
the,
thumb on it for these
heel as
first.
opposed
Just have to find away from the.
Another
bind
one there,
towards
and now at this
the
point, you can
raised
start to
part.
pull a little
Yeah,
bit.
bind- So you want
I wouldn't
start
go
to bind
super hard, but you
this
could
way.
start
I'm
to
gonna
put
need
some
a lot of
tension towards you with your body weight. If you use your arms too much, it gets a
So let me
little
set this up for you.
exhausting,
So
so.
basically you wanna do this.
So once you get to, you're
The back
on
of the
three, on four, this is the time where you can start to pull a little bit more, a little
And
bit
then
more.
you're gonna bind up this way, so
I would
basically
personally wait
here's how
till
you
like
start. Yeah.
five
Yeah.
to really let go of the thumbs and really start to
I
wrench on it. Otherwise, sometimes you get
Oh,
stuck.
you don't? Okay, let me start you off.
You could just, you can
Okay,
kind of
let me
feel it out
start
and
you
start
off.
pulling a
So
little
you
bit
can
more.
clear the way a little bit there.
I think at this point, you could probably just pull
Yeah.
without the thumb.
And then I'm gonna go like that.
So I usually go like 4 or 5 before I let the thumbs go and really start to pull. But at this point, you should be good, and you wanna put, this is,
Now, is
I
it
think,
possible, like I'm
70
tightening this
pound
now.
test. It's just a guideline. If you pull too hard, it will snap.
Right, right.
And if you're using your body weight, you will fall backwards. It's happening.
You trying to catch me?
Yeah, so, you just wanna, you know, feel it out. It doesn't have to
Just
be
like that, just like
a
that.
ton of weight. Nylon stretches,
Keep it there. No, no,
so
no,
even
no,
the
you have to
nylon
move a little bit.
itself will
Just
continue to
roll your
pull
thumb
after
as you
we
wind.
finish this.
So when I get ready to
Yes.
cut it, that's when I
Yes.
stop doing it?
Yes.
Well,
So
you
now you
always
don't
wanna
need it.
keep
Now
tension.
pull a little closer.
You wanna keep the tension
Yes,
all the way.
good. Now you don't need to hold the thumb.
When you get down to
and
the end,
like
that's when
this.
you're gonna drop your thumb, probably your left thumb, and really hold that tight when we cut it, so it
Good.
goes
You're doing great. That's a great start. Keep going, Barry. Looks like you're doing a good. Yeah, keep going, keep going. You're doing fine.
So I have to keep holding up.
We'll just get to the other side. You have to eventually move your thumb.
How much pressure should I have?
Just a little bit to keep it stuck, not a
Oh,
lot.
that's right.
You can go ahead and go
Right,
another
right.
one on there, and then where you wanna stop, like, you wanna make sure, like, go one
See if
more.
there's another place
And
under the
then
tie cord.
you want to have kind of that where
Is
it
there
is.
something like a
So
door
I'll just show
or
you now,
something?
you're gonna wanna keep your thumb
Okay, we wanna do
there.
this.
Whatever's gonna be, I would probably do your left thumb. And then you're gonna wanna have your tension, as you just keep your left thumb, you can release your right. That's when you grab your scissors, cut that line, you wanna cut a little bit, maybe scratch. And then you just wanna feed this through the loop.
From this side or back this side?
No, this side. So just continue it where it wants to go.
So.
Yeah, sometimes the end frays a little bit.
I wrote back.
My guess right now is
Look all right.
It's alright.
See what you're talking
Now I'm
about,
supposed
the
to tighten it?
fatigue.
The pliers, yeah, you're through there. So you go ahead and pull that through, and then this is where you want to now switch the thumb to
Yeah.
keep that
The
there.
first thing I would check.
And this is where you grab your pliers on this side, any pliers you have. Sometimes if you have a little bit longer tag end,
It'll be easier.
yeah.
And I just yank it fast.
Harry's a yanker, I'm a puller, but Harry yanks it. We'll see what works for you. You can also pull
We
slow.
could do another test with some tape.
Don't tell him you said that. So if you're in right now, you're in, you can let go of everything, even that you're in. What I would do now, if you didn't get it all the way to the middle, is just keep pulling this gently. If you pull too hard and you pull it all the way out, the whole thing gets grabbed. So if you're not there, you can just kind of give it a tug. It'll go in stages. As it jumps. Go a little bit more. Feel it in there. Sometimes they snap.
but it's consistent.
But you're
yeah, so
close. I still think you can get that a little bit more.
Okay.
Like I said, if you have a longer tag end, it works. I would just use my thumb and kind of steep
But
pull it.
maybe this one
I
is
would
just
say,
a
you know,
bind yet.
this takes a lot of
I think
practice.
it needs-
So if you have a cracked glue or just a practice glue, I would personally have a tag end that's a little bit longer, and what you
But
can
you
do to
can do it
prevent
just-
breaking this
Yeah.
is you could, I wrap electrical tape around these, so these aren't sharp. So I'll wrap electrical tape so it's soft and.
Let's see, do we wanna, anyone
And
wanna
then
try
that way, what you can also do is then
Based upon-
wrap that tag end around a couple times.
I think so.
So you
Do you
get a
have
little
another
bit more
one?
tension. But Harry has a different style where he just kind of yanks it and breaks all at once. Some people like to slowly tug on.
How you doing? Did you get?
Somebody have the knife?
You're pretty good.
yeah.
Okay, pretty good.
I don't know if I put enough or.
Exacto, I'll ask the exacto guy. Do you have the knife?
Weight onto it? You feel like you're pretty strong? Pretty tight? You feel like you're gonna break it? That's okay, okay. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, do you remember how to switch when I said to put your thumb there?
This stuff? No.
This thumb.
This stuff.
Yeah, and now,
And now.
you know what, I better just do it for you, right? Right here, I'll take over. So this is the tricky part, so you have to go like this, and then cut this.
So once you're ready, you can probably do one more.
Go ahead and take it over to the table.
Like that. Okay, but we did it, so I did basically did it for you. You
Yeah.
can do it again, you can do it again on another one.
So it loops across
See-
there.
see how I
Now
hold
this
it
is
right
where
now?
it depends on
Yeah.
kind of
It's
how
not-
you want
it's
to
not
do it. I
right.
usually here do kind of left thumb.
But
You
it's
wanna
not tight
lock
enough,
this
but
down
it's better than
behind
nothing.
this.
You can do it again.
So like left
Or you
thumb,
can
right
try
thumb, whatever you
another-
think is easier, but you wanna press down if you.
You wanna
use
try
your
it?
tension here, the
You
whole
should
thing
not
will
have.
level.
I mean, just like.
You should pull strong.
Yeah, so you wanna press that to keep
Yeah.
that
You
from.
shouldn't have.
But yes,
Through.
it should
That's
not go
when you
through,
grab your
right? So
scissors,
you see how I
cut
hold it through?
this end.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking
So
already.
basically you're gonna
But,
hold the
but
left hand
it's
here.
pretty good where
Keep tension.
it'll hold the clock from opening more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scissors, so.
If you want to start again, how do you take it all
You
off?
just, if you want to start again, you go to the opposite way and pull that
So
board
keep
out.
that tension there.
Yeah.
Feel it like kind of
And then start
unraveling
again.
out.
Yeah, it's gonna pull again.
What would you like to do?
You're gonna wanna take this end and put it through this loop.
You still live in a
Just
Yes,
just so it passes.
No, I think
That's
like
what I'm saying.
Let's keep it like this and let someone else have a shot.
Yeah.
Who's next? Who's next? We'll come over here. We'll come over here.
better than.
You're gonna cut the cord, yeah.
And I'm a bit also, I have a concert this
Oh,
this
yeah,
evening,
yeah, that's a
so.
good, leave it like that without the glue, because you might redo it later.
Yeah.
Just leave it like that, you know?
And I just leave it like that.
Yeah, we're gonna cut these off,
Yeah.
but no glue, for now, because you're gonna redo it maybe, right?
Yeah, maybe, or.
Yeah, or you can decide if you want.
Yeah.
Are you
What do I
next,
do
Mike?
now? What do I do now?
Oh, you wanna cut, remember, cut that? Cut these two?
Yeah.
With the knife?
Okay.
Let me get you the knife.
I know that's not, I know it's not traditional, but I don't know if I'm right.
Do you wanna try it on your own? Remember how I demonstrated? Oh, okay, no. Remember when I had my thumb down like this? Yeah? And then I brush it. Let me show you what I would do.
And you
Let me show
do it
you.
like this? Or?
Yes, like that. And then I went like that, right up to the tip, and then I press gently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you make it?
Oh, thank you.
So that was usually like, it was a little
February is.
don't feel bad, like it's getting used to. If your vines are kind of.
Stops, that's when you press just
Really easily do it.
down.
Really hard to get it done. So it just takes a little bit of practice.
You might not think it's broken, but it probably is. We pull it that, it doesn't. Oh, look what you did.
Because people sell these, you can get them from Japan, you can get them for $10.
Don't worry.
We're done. So this will hold.
This thing needs
This will
to.
hold it in place until it's time.
That's where it was.
This loosens it.
For some reason, these were maybe not tight enough. You take the extra step, and when he was talking about the X's
Because the slats are movable.
what that is,
From that now.
I couldn't understand.
So, you want the blade see how the blade is? You want it perpendicular, kind of. See how it's perpendicular?
Yeah.
And then you want to move it out here, and then push down this piece of valve. That's why this thing is.
So if you wanna start from scratch, I would remove the
Not gonna pull it. The center stays.
But I've seen scratches with a lot of glue, so you try to, and then you buy
So that, see how the blade's perpendicular? You move it to the end, and when it, as soon as it hits that, you push down a little bit. And then you cut it.
What's that?
Now, this one's gonna be really difficult.
Oh, you did?
Right?
Amazing.
Just kind of like that, once you bump that, you'll be ready to do it. I would do it like,
You let me know the difficult ones?
yeah, I'm letting you know the difference here.
Bill, I don't know Bill.
I'm holding that, you go ahead and just easy, just slide it along the string. It's like you're barely touching it. And then when you feel it stop, that's when you push down.
Do it one side at a time.
But let me get back to
Try
it.
that again.
So who's, I got two spaces open here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You
Mike,
could have
did you-
maybe got a little bit closer to there, but that's fine, right? That's not,
Yeah.
looks fine to me, right?
Okay, so
It's fine to me too.
oh wait,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
yeah, thanks so much for your help. So we're gonna set up the next three. And who's on this side?
So yeah, you'll see. if you do
Oh,
that
there's where
method,
we needed
I
it. We
do
needed
the
it,
same way
Who's
with
on
mine.
this
instead of this way,
But
it needed to be
that's
this
how-
way.
You'll see.
Cause you see it,
Some people just like.
Oh, yeah, I
this
see.
way.
because on this slot doesn't go all the way through, and that way it'll hold the blade from
For
sliding
the
back.
first one, that's a good.
So it was actually my
So it's-
fault.
It's not
Anybody
totally
wanna buy it?
flush, you see the edge.
I have a question.
It's not a bad thing.
So
I think it's only
some
visible.
people do the, some
We
people
have the
do
cap.
the cap there, yeah, that should be.
I don't see the cap anywhere.
That worked, it tightened it up.
Some people do. It's really up to you. It's a peace of mind.
Thank you.
And I
But
would
yeah,
say-
like I said, everyone's got a different style, and you'll find out
Cap
what
for the
works,
blade.
what works for you.
Now I have to cut these, right?
Yes.
I understand why you stopped.
We're locating this first, so we don't have any medical
It
emergencies.
depends on where the food goes.
And then, like he said, he's got his box down here, so you can kind of use this if you'd like. You could use the box. It's a good idea to use the box or make something. You can make these yourselves, buy them, or you could just set it down on a blanket or something. But basically, you want to put some tension when you cut
Maybe at the
these,
point you're doing the binding,
just so when you
then
cut,
why
it
not
cuts
do it
clean. If you don't have any tension, you
Because
try to cut on the
you're
edge. Sometimes you'll have a fray, and then there'll be some exposed a little bit, and it's kind of visible if you're going for. That's a hard one because it's that's a
Put a
hard
string
one
like
to
that,
cut
yeah.
on the
Put your
joint.
thumb there.
But usually what you could do here
And then you'll
is
ride the blade down the string.
And then you just push down.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't have to worry about cutting into the bamboo.
so you can
No,
push
you
it
just push
down.
it.
You can use a dowel rod or a popsicle stick or just your
The
fingers
typical
too.
places,
They're
there are
really tight,
typical
but you can
places
kind of.
where it cracks.
They are.
There are typical
They don't
places
have to
that
be
cracks.
super
Really
tight.
gently,
Like I said,
it's
that's
riding
enough
across
pressure
it,
to keep bamboo
gliding
sealed.
across it. And just
Yeah.
push
And
down.
the nylon that this is made of is, it's, even though it's very strong,
Great job.
it does stretch a little bit,
A typical
so it's
place.
constantly pulling.
You're welcome.
Right, so you could
I mean,
buy
thank
one
you.
here, if you want, as a typical place, and one here. Maybe those two would be the first, or maybe
Yeah,
one
you
here.
got it just like
because
that.
Sometimes at the top it starts.
Slide it up to the edge.
So
Look
if
at
you
that.
wanna
Wow.
try, I would say
First
the
one,
easiest
that's pretty
Wow.
I'm stoked, man.
would be
This is
kinda
cool.
right here, but then your thumb
Don't
might
get, I
be,
mean,
you know.
believe me,
Where's the
even
line?
I mess them up sometimes. So you'll be thinking you're good, and then you're just like,
Binding
nah.
right
Yeah.
here.
Sometimes you have a bad day of
It's
binding,
a safety
and then
measure.
you got to take a rest.
That's the typical place.
Because it does
yours?
get
Thank
tiring.
you.
When you have to do a couple,
You
it's
could think about it.
it's one thing. But like I said, if you do like a long, like a 2.8, like
Straight
Right.
for me.
But I was telling you, it's a really good
What are you
excuse to
talking
buy
about?
a broken flute
I'm sorry.
because they're very cheap.
Anyway, does
So
anybody
you
wanna
can get them
buy?
in Japan
We
for
have
like
space now.
$10. Like people sell
Anybody
crap,
know?
Maybe.
especially GRE.
I got a real.
Try
This is the
again,
reason where
try
it's like, well,
again.
maybe that's a
Barry?
good way to practice. Because if you don't really have a craft
Let's give
Shakuhachi,
Mostly,
you
yeah,
actually
yeah.
get too much
Super
practice.
glue at.
But you know, you
And-
buy a couple like $10 ones,
No?
and they're all over. You know, if you go on the Japanese
Try again,
auction
Barry.
sites, Yahoo Japan.
Barry's gonna try
auctions.
again.
Is this a sugar
Which is like
bomb?
the
Yes,
Japan.
yes, yes. So do you
Or,
wanna
you
use
know,
my
I'm sure
box,
Perry
which
probably
is,
has some.
It's over there, and I'll grab a piece of paper.
All the bindings.
you know what, also gonna give you this.
Very interesting for first time.
I'm gonna need you to
There's another
supervise
box if anybody wants to use.
You can do the limbo underneath.
Um,
this. That was a little bit, I went a little bit crazy there. Not even squeezing out because I put too much in there.
Well, kinda is,
Oh,
right
that'd
there.
be fine. Like I said,
So-
it,
so
it
what I would
soaks
do
in
is I
and
would
it
put it
goes all the way down
right in
kind
the
of
middle.
under, so.
Actually, I
When you
like
first
to
put it on, it's gonna
visually,
look like kind of a
aesthetically
lot.
line,
Yeah,
align my
once you get a
crosses
bead
right
on there,
along
you
the
can
back.
just smooth them out.
So that's where I start
Yeah.
the loop,
And
and then, you know.
Some
if
people
you
do
ever
this, some people
bindings,
don't. It really
it's
depends on
kind
how you
of a
want
nice
to
thing.
finish it. There's also, you know, it could
Why
just
not
be
try
a
it right there?
temporary,
It's
it's a
right
good
there.
thing
It's
to
the
have,
back
like,
right
you
there.
can just say like, I just wanna make sure this doesn't
try
crack
one up for you,
anymore.
Barry.
Maybe I want something fancier, but I don't have the time to do it, I'll come back. It's even just something this simple without doing any glue or anything is a good
Yeah.
idea.
I think I will
Especially
do
if
that.
you're on the road or something.
Yeah, I think I
I'm
will
on the road.
leave it. Because even
You need a hand
like
to get you
this,
started?
it's
I may.
Can I
It's
check out the
already
cord, because it could be waxy, and that's a
sturdy
problem.
enough. I mean,
It's
I
kind of,
don't-
it's waxy,
the
it's a
glue
waxy
is an
cord.
extra.
You can't do that, yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, I would say if you're, I would do the glue if you know that you're gonna keep that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's times where you might just need it where you're like, I want to just protect the flute right now, make it
Yeah.
playable, and I'll come back later and maybe do different bindings, and put Urushi on it, and kind of clean. So there's temporary, and then there's
No, I think I will stay on temporary. So I won't.
okay.
I won't
Temporary.
temporary. Yeah, I won't play. I won't do glue now.
Let's try this.
Understood.
Yeah.
I won't pressure you anymore.
But
No,
that's,
no, no, no.
I was like this, and she looked at me, and she looked at you. She's like,
but that's totally fine. It's nice to have like a kit like that that carry with you if you travel, because you never know. And sometimes
Anybody else?
if you're gonna
No?
perform or something, and then your shakuhachi cracks or something. And if you learn this, sometimes you'll be everyone's best friends. I have people that come through Chicago sometimes, and I have one friend in particular who plays all sorts of shakuhachi and flutes, transverse.
Charles is not gonna do that.
And he
for you,
always
right?
has something broken. That
Yeah.
I need to repair while
Okay.
he's on the road.
You'll see something.
So you'll also be everyone's.
The
everyone's
best way to
friend.
test with the leaf is the
Yeah,
water
yeah.
test. But let's just see what happens.
Okay, no, I will
My
leave it.
guess is it's leaking right
When you
through the
don't
fingers
glue
just
it,
right
how
there.
long will it hold tension?
No, it'll hold. That will never. Well, I'm gonna say if you do it a good one, it's not going to resist tension. It's gonna stay as is. Like I said, that stuff's got a breaking strength of like 70 pounds, I think. But also because of the stretch,
Right,
that's
just
70
seeing
pounds
that.
on one,
It could be
just the
anywhere,
thread.
really, until you
So
get
wrapping
to
that
the
10,
acid.
12 times, plus the properties of nylon doing it, it's a lot of pressure
See,
that's
it
keeping
makes
that
it
in.
sound now.
So it won't crack any further.
Okay, well, I think it's good enough for now. And I think I will leave it.
A little bit.
I have a concert in 2 hours, so I think now I will just
Relax a little bit?
Yeah, I will relax
Yeah.
a bit. I noticed I can concentrate well.
Oh, are you you're in the main show tonight?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, for a piece we just rehearsed this morning. So
Are you solo or with a group?
no, it's in a group.
Oh, cool, cool.
And tomorrow I play solo.
Nice, nice, very nice. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot
Me
of work
too.
to do that. It's a lot of work, and what I would first propose to people is we humidify it and then add the topical course between. Because it is holding it in place. It's just, compromised. And maybe it just needs to be.
This way or this way?
Let's see. Well, it just I
It
would
makes a
go.
difference,
I would
doesn't
go over.
So
Well, you
you
just gotta
wanna
go one way and stick with it.
support the
But
rest of these and-
I would personally go,
and
over,
support these. And
So maybe I'll soak it overnight, bring it
and
back
then
tomorrow.
bring it one more time around.
Yeah, that would be a thought. Tomorrow I'm doing another workshop.
If you start, I would
It's
put a
not
little
based
bit of
on
tension on it now.
windings,
Just pull back
so-
just a tad. You don't
But
gotta pull
you can
hard,
bring it,
just so
you
it
can bring it in
straightens
the
out.
room, you could do your
And
thing.
then
I
you
would
want to
advise
kind of just you want to keep your thumbs on it for
And
the
I would
first
advise
3 to
you, yeah.
4, like
It's too bad
walk
that there's no
over,
room to
always
actually.
keep it. So
I should.
you can also do
request
that.
another room. There should. all
These
of
are
the
tough
stuff is
ones
in
when
the
they're
way.
right on the joint too. You don't have much.
Yeah.
It's
So
the,
from here, like
joint.
Barry was showing you, just kind of
restoration
always
where
keep a
we
thumb
finish
on
it.
there, just so you keep the
Okay.
tension for the first couple ones.
And then you
Yeah, we're gonna. apply-
Otherwise, sometimes
we-
it could
we
it
saw
could
address
want
that
to
then.
slip.
But
So once you get to
that
like
takes the next stage
5 or
to-
so
to,
wraps, you can start to put some
assess
more.
what we've
Seems
done,
like it's
you know,
holding.
because the Wuxi has
You can just
to-
you basically gradually put more and more
Yeah.
until you get to like
So
kind
what
of,
would, should I
7,
come
8,
back tomorrow?
and then you can kind of judge it. You can pull a little bit there and just put.
Well,
you can put
the
quite a
thing
bit of
is,
tension on it.
this workshop,
It works.
it works, right, right.
See if that
I do
makes
have
sense.
material to do this, but my
Something
workshop.
this wide, I would
doesn't
say.
give me
This is
time
good
to
for
It's
practice.
sealed, it's sealed
grab
with
it.
shellac.
I'm just
Oh,
grabbing
okay, you
that one.
slanked it. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Um,
I
Basically,
tried
it
binding,
seems like all you
I had
need is
nicely
the coat.
sealed,
It's
and then I
nice
tried
snug,
binding
there's-
it, and it
there's
could not.
residue, right, that's
Mhm.
making it
Could
sticky.
not get
You
good
need to
binding.
clean that off.
Maybe it was because the cord I
And
was
then I
using
do
was
have
wax.
rattan for that, but
Oh,
that's.
yeah, so that's
Fishing
a,
line.
yeah, because it will, fishing line is tough,
It's
it
not something I
slips a
do in the
lot.
workshop.
What helps with fishing
Right.
line, if you do use the
what do
single
you like?
monofilament fishing line, if you put it in
I mean, the
water,
only thing is.
nylon absorbs water, and sometimes you can do that with this. Nylon absorbs water,
Chianti.
and as it absorbs water, it expands.
It's a wine, isn't it?
So some people do this, they'll put
the
in
cork
water
is from
anyway,
Chianti.
so
Yeah,
the
it's a
binding will
beautiful
continue
blue.
to
Who's
contract
the maker?
after it's on there. But if you're doing fishing line, I would highly suggest putting it in water for like a couple minutes. If you're doing multiple bindings, just put one in, let it go, and
And
then
did Monty get all
placing
of
it.
this?
How long did you say?
Well, like 2-3 minutes.
So basically,
Yeah,
you would want.
but
a
what
rattan
that also
wrap,
helps
right?
it grab
I
a
have
little bit
rattan
more.
here, but
The
it's
moisture
matter of
on the
finding
fishing
time to do
line
it.
helps it,
Yeah.
gives you a little bit more kind of
Yeah,
tap.
it is. It's just
Because
a
it's just a
regular
raw,
fishing
dry
line.
fishing line,
Yeah.
it's
I was
very
very
slippery.
I put it in a plastic bag.
So are you saying when it dries, it gets
Were there
Yeah,
metal rings?
because nylon
Did you
absorbs
still have
water,
them?
and as it absorbs water, it
So
expands.
basically, I do have rattan.
So if you're
you can wrap
expanding
around
it, and then you do
It's
the
just that I
bind,
would take
once it
time
dries,
to
it's
do
gonna
it.
contract.
You know?
Same as did with this.
So when you're wrapping that with rattan, is there time?
Yeah, so
Or what thing to make?
No, not have to
No, I
use
mean,
glue.
yeah, I mean, that's
basically.
tricky, because you don't wanna get too close to the hole, but where you're gonna wanna grab it is gonna be behind the loop there. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you're.
Right,
you can
and I'll ship it to
work.
you.
Yeah, I would do one more.
No problem, no. Yeah.
Because there's,
Yeah.
there's nobody in Germany that I know that I trust.
Right, right.
So.
I mean, let me talk to you
Yeah,
after
I'll
the
grab
workshop,
where
right,
you're at.
about
That's
that.
perfect, grab it right there. Now you should be able to free up this hand, that's when you're gonna wanna do scissors.
So, no, I would wrap it in a
All you gotta do here is
medium
pass it
damp
through.
cloth, not soaking wet, but not dry, you know, medium damp,
This way, you wanna
maybe a
go
little bit on the wet
continue
side,
that-
just
continue
wrap
the
it.
mix.
And make sure that the cloth doesn't touch the crack
Now,
somehow,
this is the
whether you do
switch.
it upside
So
down or
you can
something,
pull
you
that.
know, so that because the bamboo's gonna close and grab the cloth.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then you have a
where
lint
you're
in
gonna
the
wanna
crack.
sway this down,
all
and
the
you
way
need to switch
around.
hands
Right,
to
the
block
cloth that
that.
you use,
To-
yeah,
to-
yeah, like
to-
and then put it into
It's a little
a
tricky
plastic bag,
because it's very
and overnight, I think
You're
you'll be
locked in.
surprised, or in 2
And then
days.
you wanna basically just,
That's why.
Yeah, how did you do on your binding?
I
Think
would
good.
need more tagging personally,
did you
just so
do
you
the
have
moose?
more to work with.
Yeah, let's see.
This stuff's pretty cheap, so
Not
if you're
bad. Have you
burning
done
an extra
bindings
8
before?
inches or
I have
so,
not.
Okay, so there's
like a fun.
Yeah, a little bit of.
So
To me,
basically,
it's not a big deal.
if you just line that with super
Harry does the jerk method, you're gonna have to find out what works for
Yeah,
you.
right.
Sometimes you can also
But
pull,
this one,
we should do it
tight,
now.
you can pull
So
some
is this a
glare
good
out,
candidate
stop.
for a
See
Saturday?
how you want this in the middle.
Is it chipped?
Stop there.
I mean, it's
If you
not
end
really
up
bad at all.
Very-
too
it's very
far
finely.
or not enough,
I mean,
you
I
can
feel
just
like
pull
it's-
this side, so you could let go.
Oh, I see it from the back.
This is locked
Sure,
out.
sure it
If
is.
you end up going a little bit too far.
Did you make this?
Sometimes
Oh,
just with
yeah.
sometimes just with your hand, you can
Okay,
wrap around this.
yeah,
and pull it
basically,
back.
for Saturday, I will show you how to fill that.
Kind of wiggle it back and
Basically,
forth
we'll put
and
a
tighten
piece
it
of
up.
tape there, drop
But
a piece
it's
of glue.
very common, your first couple
finely seal
aren't
it,
probably
yeah.
gonna be the tightest.
Yeah, well,
Because
this is a
you're
great
getting
candidate,
the
actually,
technique
yeah.
down, and it's a lot to kind of go over, you know, so practice, and then
Harry,
your
thank
binds
you
will
so
get
much.
tighter, they'll get
I'll
cleaner,
come back tomorrow with.
but no one's gonna be an expert on this.
So,
first.
the
No,
longer
no,
one,
of
did you
course
try
not.
to use the
No,
longer
no,
one?
filling it with
We
crack.
should- we could've
Oh,
tried
is it?
that.
Oh.
Yeah,
Just
is it
binding
here?
it,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and like you said,
Try
usually
the
it
longer
helps,
one.
it helps
Very
if
much.
a, you can
I'm
tighten
be
the
going.
crack.
Okay,
but it
okay.
helps if you
Yes,
humidify
I hope it was helpful and
cracks
useful.
marks.
Yes, it was really
And then you're putting a bind.
Okay, okay.
Totally clumsy.
Trying to actually.
Oh, no, it takes a lot, to figure out your hands,
Possible,
it
but,
does.
you know, if
It
it's very
does.
small, like under a millimeter, like a
When I
very
watch
hairline
you,
crack,
I
yeah.
don't, when
But
it looks
if it's
logical, but
split
then
significantly, you're gonna.
Yeah, you've never done it before, you've never done it, so it's odd when you've never done something before, and you have to do it, yeah,
And
it is.
pretty much most moderate cracks.
Oh, you're welcome, I'm glad it was
And then you got a
useful,
working
thank
time
you,
of
thank you.
probably,
enjoy.
Yeah.
the heat and humidity in your house.
Enjoy your rehearsal and your performance.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
But
so
once
you know what we're
commit
gonna
to this
do,
and you start
is it opened up
hydrating,
even a little bit since we last looked at it, I think, right? Because it's
you
drying
definitely
out.
wanna
So I'm gonna
finish
show
it
you
by-
something, right?
because
I'm
if it
just
starts
gonna show you something.
drying out,
Step aside here.
wetting it, those huge fluctuations of
I'm
getting
gonna
a
just
really
pull
wet
one
one,
really tightly.
then it's
see what
gonna wanna
happens.
even crack
Because
anymore.
it could be that this
Once you
one
start the
binding
process of doing the bindings, you just
will
you really
close,
wanna
pull
make
it
sure.
tight,
it's good.
close, and then we can kind of
Who
see.
sells the colored binding?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you put a
it'll
link,
work.
Oh, it's
looks,
not?
it's Marion, but you could put it Marion Jewel in fiber. I know it sounds weird.
So it's like
It's
M-A-R-I-A-N?
M-A-R-I-O-N.
Marion.
Marion jewels and fiber. What this is bead cord. So even if you have a beading place in your house, and there's a million beading places, I didn't realize this, but it's craft cord for people who make necklaces with beads. So this is
Does it
actually
have a
just
spec?
bead cord.
Does it have a strange spec to it?
This is called Ceylon.
Yes.
It
Oh,
happens.
so,
It's a
so
very
Ceylon comes in different.
Ceylon Tex 400. There's probably 75 colors.
Oh, excellent.
There's an
Okay.
endless
Okay,
array.
yeah, that's in the document.
Now-
Yeah.
So if you had a little crack
Hmm?
and you bound it,
So, just because I'm putting the pressure
and it
that I
wasn't
know it needs.
successful, if you haven't done the
No, you
super
don't have
glue or
to
whatever,
seal.
Yeah.
it's easy to cut it off and start again.
Yeah, even
So
super
now
glue, like,
I've
it
done,
usually
like,
doesn't
about
actually,
10 bindings.
the super glue is like to keep everything, to keep the binding tight, and so it's definitely not gonna go anywhere, if you know you're gonna finish it.
My wife.
Like I said to, she had to go rehearse, I think, but Eileen, if you know that it's kind of temporary and you're just doing something to, stop that crack from getting more, buying something, maybe you don't have the time to put your ruching on it and do something fancy, you could just leave it as is, it's not gonna loosen up. So there are temporary bindings, there are permanent bindings, it's just kind of the situation that you're in. Or maybe you just wanna put one binding on for now and you're gonna come back and put some
So
more
you
for
see how
later.
it's-
So, yeah, if you know that it's temporary and you're gonna come
So
back at a later date.
the
and finish it,
minimum I would do is 5 here. 1, 2,
Well, I'm
3,
thinking
4, 5.
if you
There's
do the
6,
binding, you have a crack. You do the
7,
binding, but it's
8.
not successful.
That's why
Or you wanna check to
you
see
gotta
if
learn
it's
how to do
successful.
bindings.
Okay.
When you do a lot of bindings.
Then it's
You
easy
wanna cut the
to
ends
just
yourself?
cut that cord
Yeah.
and start all over
This is
again,
what
do it
Yeah.
tighter, humidify it more.
Yeah,
Careful
yeah,
first.
absolutely.
Exactly right.
And a
So
lot
you
of
might not
times-
wanna put this super glue or
You could
lotion
just
on until you're pretty confident.
Remember
that
how
it's-
I would say it's if you're confident, and then if you've done enough of these bindings, you'll develop the confidence to know. Like I said, the way that I got so good is I bought broken shakuhachi, dirt cheap, or buy like broken bamboo to make bamboo. People sell broken bamboo for nothing.
Anybody else have
And if you
questions
buy
they wanna
broken-
try while
broken
we're here?
bamboo,
We still have time
then
for
you need
anyone
to
who
buy
wanna
it
try.
anyway. So it's like I
How
said,
did
it's a
it
good
go?
excuse
Do you wanna
to
try it again?
practice
I pulled it all the way through.
Oh, it came out.
Either broken
I'm
shakuhachi
kind
or
of-
broken
yeah,
bamboo.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
I mean, this
practice,
needs to
and
be
those are really
certified.
good gifts
I
to
get the
give
idea.
people.
I'm
You get
kind
the
of-
idea?
I'm kind of inclined
You know,
to,
hear you play
I
and they
didn't
wanna
I
learn.
did these bindings.
I thought you might have.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I think I
there's
did this
the
bindings.
Japanese auction sites
I
the
should ask
best.
you,
There are
this
third-party
used to
sites
belong
called like
to
Buyee, B-U-Y-E-E.
the person who was
from
president of the
Japan.
ISS
It's
before
basically
Al.
like the Japanese.
Ron Nelson.
Yes.
And there's
Maybe I didn't do these because I don't.
I guess
I mean,
so.
so
well, and Elliot
like
has
it's endless.
a
supply.
few of
You can
Ron's
shop.
flutes.
There's
Oh, okay.
endless
And,
amounts.
and he
It's a process
arranged
you
the
gotta get
sale
from
for
Japan,
Ron.
you know, and they ship
But
it
I'm
there.
kind of
but
inclined
the
to just
services
send
are
this to you.
really nice.
Now you
whatever you want to do,
can-
but I think if you humidify it and come back
You know
tomorrow,
what
you
they do?
can
So
add
to work around that is they lie and they say
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's a gift.
And we could do it in the hallway.
So,
where
but if
there's
it gets
another-
lost, then you're out.
There's no room here. I don't know why.
But that's how you avoid paying.
I should have asked for a room,
tax.
You know, did-
a room that had space.
I'll come back and do the same with this one.
My shakuhachi I've had for a
You want to
long
add a few now? Add a few now. Yeah, because we have time.
It's
Do you remember how to
never
get started?
cracked, It's in great shape.
Some of them never.
Let me show you again.
And I've had it in all kinds of conditions,
So
I'm
our
blessing
plank.
to bind it. But I could practice it. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could even practice binding just on anything. Just a piece of
Yeah,
bamboo.
that's right.
Like, it doesn't have to actually be that. But you could just get bamboo from, you know, I don't know where your local nursery sometimes have it, or you know, for auction purposes. So I mean, it's just it's getting, you know, it's not necessarily repairing a shakuhachi. It's finding out what works for you and finding out how to do the bindings and get a little consistent at it. And once you do,
Actually,
you do a few.
take your exacto now. I have it
Pick it
here.
up pretty
It's buried
quick.
in here somewhere.
And Perry's got great videos on YouTube too. If you know,
Thanks, Mike.
This is it. I learned from Perry's
Thank you so
YouTube
much,
videos.
Charles, for the use of your.
That's kind of where I came out.
I'm glad to know.
It's like I said, it's a good thing to know. You'll be one of the most popular people. People have everyone needs
Yeah, take that
repairs.
too.
There's always someone in need of
That's me.
repairs. So
start.
if you're the nearest person that knows how to do this, you could say
Not,
you could say
not
something.
necessarily, for now, you just want to
Let's
do
just
it.
You do this for a living?
No, I just started doing it because I make some shakuhachi as well, and then from making those, even through the crafting process, sometimes they crack along the way as you're making. And I also was interested in buying some cracked bamboo, but a lot of cracked smoked bamboo, old susudake, and to be able to use that and get it very cheap, you could buy some split poles, and you get those very cheap, and then you could bind those. So a lot of them like bound before I even started crafting them. Just because I have to get them sealed up before I can even start to make them.
Let's try it again. Let's do Newport. Let's do Newport.
But yeah, get you like a build yourself like a 3.0 or something that's already cracked, and you'll have to do like 24 of these. By the end of doing one, like you'll figure it out. Yeah.
Supervise. Yeah. Let's see. And let me know.
I'm glad I'm learning this because back in Rochester, a member of our flute circle he left his shakuhachi out for
because it's all
I forget a week or weeks so that he would have it handy to practice.
Yeah.
And then like crack, like it just cracked.
Yeah, not too much. It gets in your way.
But now we can try to fix it. Like he was gonna try to fill in the crack and said, well, let's.
No, you want. I mean, you
let's
can.
find out what we need to do.
There's lots of methods to do it. People, I've seen all sorts of in Japan. They do it all sorts of ways. You can fill the crack too. They've done fills, but there's always you always want to do some sort of binding. Some people do combinations of the both, filling that crack. Some cracks look huge.